Okay, so I guess we're gonna move. We're gonna do reds next, and then we're gonna do sherry.
Sounds good.
Okay, so
As you know, tradition would dictate. I
you would think
that this is
yes. So do you want to go in priorat or do you want to stay in Rioja right now? I mean, we've been in
dealer's
Rioja.
choice. I mean, like, let's try something a little different,
Okay.
huh?
So priorat,
Okay.
northeast corner on the Atlantic Ocean. A lot of kava comes from this area. In fact, most of the kava comes from this area.
Yeah.
This is
Boo kava, by the way.
a Dofi 2018 priorat.
So by Alvaro Palacios, who is like one of the most famous winemakers in all of Spain. We were in his office and like, dude has been on more covers of magazines than anything. And I was like,
crazy.
wow, yeah, no, he knows his stuff.
Can I stop you just 1 second? I did the 375 of this because I like to keep the prices pretty reasonable. But if you want to treat yourself, this is very high. Is this the one that's 96 points? Yes, it is. So this is 96 points. This is $49.95 for the half bottle. This would have been probably $80, $85 for the full.
Sure. Easily.
I mean, I would love it, but we're two people. I don't want to get slammed and drive home.
I mean, really.
So I try to keep it reasonable, but this is a little bit higher than what we normally review. But considering the reviews, I think this is totally worth it.
So it says the first single vineyard red, 2018 Finca Dofi, excels. So that's good. 10 hectares, planted 20 years ago.
That's not a big plot. Right?
No, 10 hectares.
10 hectares is not much.
Yeah, not a lot. And it says that, this actually has a breakdown of what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, that's why I printed this.
Very good.
So what is it? I know there's, is there garnacha?
It says mostly garnacha.
Garnacha, yeah.
So, and then 8% cariniera and 2% white grapes. So that is an interesting, right, exactly. Like,
I feel like the white grapes are probably for like a little bit of floral, a little bit of acidity.
Yeah.
Priorat is right on the coast, but super high altitude.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a lot of diurnal shift, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. They're supposed to be very powerful wines.
It smells amazing. I like that fruit.
It's 2018. So let's see the color.
It's red.
It's red.
Yeah. Not as inky, not dark. I mean, that's the Grenache, though. The
exactly.
Beautiful lighter Grenache.
But Tempranillo is not necessarily a super dark grape either. It's got a lot of red fruit.
Yeah,
I
mean, it's really gorgeous.
Now, I have a question. Did you get to see any Grenache? I know you're in Rioja. Were you in Rioja Baja by any chance? Did you see the Grenache?
Probably.
Did you see the Grenache plantings? Were they bush trained like they are?
Everything was bush trained.
Everything was bush trained.
We only saw maybe 2 vineyards that had any sort of trellising at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell folks the difference between bush training
So
and trellis?
bush training is it's like old school, what we would consider here in California, where the vine comes up and it's more of like a basket, like the cordons come up in they make like a basket together.
Like a bush in your backyard. Almost.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Whereas a trellis, there's a stake, the vine grows up, there are wires that you use to support the vine and to move the branches throughout the season to get more airflow and sunlight. So it's kind of all old school over there because they do a lot of interplanting. So they don't really rip out an entire vineyard and start from scratch. They'll more what we call rogue. So if there's an issue with a certain vine, they'll take out a certain vine and replant that vine. So they can say, our vineyard is 90 years old, because they technically have not replanted the whole thing. They're just replanting it as they go.
So you think that's a way of cheating, or you think
I wouldn't say it's cheating. I would say it is very good marketing. And also, it's what they do in France. I mean, France does the same thing.
Oh, do they?
So
okay.
they rogue as long as they can. But it's also an economic thing too. I mean, because a lot of times if you are ripping out an entire vineyard, you want to leave that ground fallow for as long as you can. So if you can do it little by little and still be creating wine out of it, I mean, I think that ultimately makes sense.
I noticed something on this bottle. From the producer on the front, it says 14.5. Now, the importer was actually honest and said 14.1 to 16, which is what's allowable by law.
That's right.
And they were actually honest about it, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that they were willing to be forthcoming as far as that goes.
It's like it could be any of these.
And the reason I started looking because I was kind of rolling this, and it's got a lot of thickness. There isn't a lot of color extraction, but if you look at it, and I don't know if you can see it or not, folks. Like there's, like it's almost like a clear syrup on its way down. It's very thick, which is interesting considering, again, at 14.1 that would be a lot.
Exactly.
It's probably closer to 16.
Right, exactly.
I don't smell a lot of alcohol in the nose.
No, I don't. I mean, it's actually
but
pretty
I smell
pleasant.
some stewed prunes though.
Definitely.
And
which is kind of surprising for the color almost. Like you wouldn't expect some dark fruit like that.
Yeah, it's only an 18. It's only like 5 years old, which is kind of odd. But the palate might be different.
Yeah. Well, let's try it. Yeah, and by the way, this is $49.95. 96 points from Wine Advocate. It does not feel thick at all on my mouth, though.
No, in fact, the first thing I notice is the acidity.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not a very sharp acid.
Not unpleasant.
In fact, it's a very mild acid. If you did mallow on red wine, it would taste kind of like that. There's definitely some oak. Not spice oak, more like vanilla.
Yeah, mellow.
Or maybe, I'm not really tasting coconut, but maybe just like a little undertone, and that'll come forward. Just hints of it. Yeah, this is a very mature tasting wine.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You know why that is? And this is something I meant to mention. Because this is a small bottle, it ages quicker.
That makes sense.
This is something you might not know, folks. The 750s are the standard for aging, but when you go into the smaller bottles, they don't last as long. So a wine that would last 25 years will probably last 12 to 15 years in one of these small bottles. And then when you get into the Mans and Durable, they actually last longer.
Wow.
Because there's more wine to oxygen.
Sure.
Component. You know what I mean? The oxygen has to penetrate more liquid to age it. That's why it takes longer in the bigger bottles and shorter in the small bottles. So that's probably why this tastes much more mature.
Fast forward.
If this was a 750, it wouldn't taste like this, and it wouldn't smell like that.
Right. It's like we're drinking into the future, right?
We are drinking. Yeah, this is almost like we're in 2026.
Whoa!
We're drinking.
Wow, you look good.
Yeah, right?
Good.
Yeah,
Great.
Exactly. Yeah, you too.
We age really well.
You haven't aged a day.
Thank you.
The last glass
oh my God,
of wine
amazing. I like it a lot.
This is a very cool wine.
I mean, yeah. I think Grenache is interesting. I like the varietal. I think it's pretty pleasant. Yeah.
Very famous in the Loire Valley.
Yes,
Grenache,
absolutely.
Syrah, Mourvedre.
Right.
Mix.
Everybody knows,
Southern Rhone. I'm sorry, I didn't mean Loire Valley. I meant Rhone. No, excuse me. Well, you know what I meant. I mean, you guys are smart out there. You know what's up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not your first rodeo.
But this is the most mature expression of predominant Grenache.
Right.
Very predominant.
Yeah.
Grenache that I've had. Usually, most Grenache that I've had that's like 85% is usually very young.
Yeah, definitely.
And this doesn't taste that way.
No, not at all.
I'd be happy to drink this alone, but I think if you go like a pork.
Oh, yeah.
Or a filet or something like that, this would really sing.
Yeah, because good acid, something with a little fat on it would be excellent.
Or like a cooked cherry sauce or something like that on like even like a rabbit or something or chicken. That would really be nice. This doesn't get into the cranberry flavor, but you could pair it with like a turkey dish.
Yeah.
And kind of like
actually, that would be great.
It probably would be, right?
What a good Thanksgiving wine.
Yeah, this isn't. You know what? That's exactly right. You save this for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
In 2026.
Yeah.
And it'll be perfect.
Good choice. This was great.
I didn't choose this. Folks, I want to be clear on this. We talked before this show, and she told me where she'd been and what wines she kind of wanted to taste. And then I went and found them, and then I got approval.
Yeah, I mean.
So none of this is really my idea.
Good choice, me.
Yes,
Pat
indeed.
On back.
Pat on the back. Yes, absolutely. No, this is great, though. This is great. People explore Italy and France all the time, but I feel like Spain gets the screw job.
I agree, totally. But as far as a travel destination, I would highly recommend. I mean, everything was top notch. The scenery was beautiful, mountains, beaches, the desert area. Rioja is actually, like I said in the beginning, very dry. And so, you know, it's got it all, really.
Well, let's talk about that. See, when I think of Europe, I think more of cooler climates, more rainy season because of, you know, France, Italy, Germany. I mean, not so much Italy, but I guess Northern Italy. You know, that kind of thing. Ireland, Scotland, that, which I know isn't on a continent, but still. Yeah. But that's what I think of. And I feel like Spain is pretty much the opposite of that.
The middle of Spain, where we were, like the Rioja region, I was shocked at how dry it is. Very rocky, very sandy. Their soils are very chalky. You can actually like look into the mountainside and just see the chalk element. They didn't do any soil pits while we were there, but I mean, you could just see the chalk element and how light the soil was. And I think that imparts some flavor onto this. You know, it's not as fruit forward. It does have some minerality. And
do you feel like that's necessary, that chalky soil, to retain the water for the dry season?
It probably helps. I mean, like I said, they only get like 9 inches of rain.
Right,
average,
but it's all at once though, right? In the winter.
Exactly. No, not during winter.
Oh, really?
I mean, their growing season is so short because it goes all the way through spring, and then they start freezing in late September, early October. They're trying to push it to the very end of when, you know, things might freeze. So I mean that they're
having a ripening problem.
Yes,
not
absolutely.
an acidity problem.
Not an acidity problem. The other thing that combats that is they only get like 1.5 tons per acre, and average here at Taddei Vineyards, we get about 5 tons per acre. So they're...
And you don't have particularly young vines.
No,
either.
not
Your
at all.
vines are
Yeah.
15 to 25-year-old.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's not like a function of just like, you know, new vines.
No, definitely not. I think it mostly has to do with the water and how the soil retains it, and they can only handle so many bunches per vine. So that low amount, I think, you know, also gives more intense flavor because the vine is only focusing on, you know, a little amount of bunches.
Yeah.
You know, only has a little bit to ripen, but you know, they're doing that so that they don't get caught and have no crop because everything freezes
then you're really
right
screwed.
Before. Yes, I mean, we heard some horror stories where these guys were like, we didn't plan well enough and we lost our whole. I think 2022 was a really rough year for a lot of people, and you know, so
when you were in Rioja, did you stay in Rioja Alta, Alvese, or
Rioja Alta is
okay?
mostly
Well,
where
that's
we stayed,
the upper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't expecting the altitude, again, not something I was prepared for, so took a little bit getting used to. But,
guys, if you want to know more about the wine labels and a little bit more of the breakdown of that kind of stuff, up here I'm going to leave a link to my previous episode that does wine labels for Spain. So check that out, and like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon for notifications when we drop new episodes.
Please do.
Okay, so what do you think?
I mean,
again,
I like it.
I like this wine a lot. Very mature.
Yeah.
Very cooked prune. Maybe a little bit of like almonds, like uncooked almonds.
Uncooked almonds.
Like not toasted almonds. But just a hint of it to kind of dry it out. You know, it's drinking a lot more mature than it actually is.
I would agree with that 100%. I mean, for a 2018, I think it's wonderful.
I like that one.
I would agree.
I would invest in that a little
Alvaro, basically anything by Alvaro Palacios. He's the man. But we're about to talk about my favorite guy.
Oh, really? This is your favorite?
Yeah, Telmo.
Okay.
So he's like a one-name guy. It's like his Telmo Rodriguez, but everyone you're like, oh, I met Telmo. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, Telmo.
Oh, it's like Robert Mondavi almost.
Exactly. When we first met him, he's like, I love to provoke people and I love to do illegal things. And I was like, we're friends already.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
yeah, that's you.
So exactly, 100%. I mean, we're basically kindred spirits. So we visited his property, again in Rioja Alto. He's right up against Remilori. Yes, exactly. He's right up against a mountain facade. Beautiful. It was owned by monks, so there are several monasteries on the property from the 10th century that are still standing.
That's impressive.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the property is beautiful. It was like 375 hectares, and he has a lot going on there. Not just grapes. He's really big into
Wine has been made here since the 14th century.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And he is all about, finding what works best, what people were doing there originally. So one of my favorite things that he's doing is he went up towards the old monastery on the hill, and they found some what are like abandoned vines, essentially, that look like, and so he did like DNA testing to figure out what they were so that he could replicate them. So he does all of his, when he says he loves doing illegal things, he means like propagating his own vines, essentially. Like he makes his own rootstock, which is like against the law.
Yeah, you would think,
like,
right?
Yeah, he makes fruit trees and all these things. So he did a bunch of testing to figure out what the monks had originally planted there, centuries ago, so that he could try to replicate that, because he thinks that is the way to go. Since they've been growing there for centuries, I might as well.
Well, sure, there's plenty of modern wine floating around. Why not try and turn back the clock and see what they were doing, 300-400 years ago?
That's right.
And then apply like modern ways to vinify.
Exactly.
God, I have a hard time with that word. Vinify the wine.
Yeah. Rolls off the tongue.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So $49.99.
That's for the big bottle, so
right.
That's a little bit more reasonable.
Yes, exactly. This is the 2015, 94 points. It looks like from James Suckling and Wine Advocate.
Oh, that's exciting.
So this is the guy who, when we were like, oh, what is the percentage of whatever? And he was like, no, that is a dumb question. Like, do not ask that, because we interplant everything. So again, they don't have a block of Grenache, a block of Tempranillo. It is all just planted together.
It's whatever they give you.
It is harvested together, and it is, yeah, exactly. It is,
It's green.
A little bit.
On the nose. Again, this was not open 2 hours,
right.
So we really need to aerate the hell out of this.
So the description says, ripe berries, hazelnuts, and spice.
Definitely spice.
Some crushed stone, too.
You know what? That's funny, because I'm getting a little spice and maybe some wet stone.
Spice, yeah.
Wet stone.
Oh.
I might not have been able to verbalize it had you not said it, but now that you said it,
isn't that funny?
I get a little bit. We talked about that the last time.
Yes, exactly. It's like once you say it, I'm like, oh yeah, there it is.
Actually, I'm happy to say that every time I come up here, the wines that we taste are always very good.
I agree.
And it hasn't been a real clunker in the group.
Right.
You can disagree or agree with the price
sure.
point, but in terms of
nothing
the actual
we wouldn't
flavor
drink.
of the wine,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Nothing I'm tossing after the first sip. So yeah, the nose is
it's a little close.
It's okay.
It's a little close.
It's okay. Yeah.
Let's try and fix that.
The color is beautiful, though. Definitely darker than the Grenache that we just drank. I got a little cork in there, but that's okay.
Oh no.
Get you out there, buddy. There we go.
Yeah,
but
there's definitely spice.
Not inky. I mean,
no.
it's beautiful, beautiful red.
Most of the grapes in Spain tend to have like red fruit characteristics, at least in their fresh state.
Sure.
So you're gonna not get that blue-black color that you get from a Petit Syrah, something like that, even a Cab or a Merlot. This is gonna be more red fruit.
Yeah.
Tempranillo, a lot of people don't realize this, is very much of a red fruit. Plum, cherry, strawberry. It's just matured.
Yeah.
So you don't notice it as much as you would, like a Pinot, like a young Pinot.
Yeah. That's
so.
where they add the complexity at. It basically is.
Yeah.
And also, they grow a lot of Tempranillo. Goes back to their short growing season. Tempranillo means early, so it's an early ripening variety, which is what they need because of their short growing season. So it's ready to go, with less growing degree days than a Cab or another variety.
And that's why you'll see Grenache and Macabeo and that kind of thing, because they're later ripening grapes.
Sure.
So if you have an issue with the early ripening, you can make something.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you can blend more and kind of make it. Yeah, would you say that there's a lot? My understanding is there isn't a lot of single varietal wines.
No, absolutely not. Actually, the Rioja AVA has some of the strictest rules about those kind of things that we heard about.
Like
I wish that I had. Yes, like you're
really?
not allowed to do. You have. This is again something that Telmo from Remiuri was saying, that he wants to do single varieties, and this is things that they're like not allowed to do. I wish I had read up more about that, because I thought that was so interesting that their their appellation is putting such strict restrictions on them.
Are you really surprised? No, you are in Europe.
No, I mean, like, yeah, though, because we're in wine, which is kind of like an art, right? It's like people should be able to express themselves in certain ways.
Well,
and
you've been to France and Italy. I mean, you know how ruly they are. And all this bullshit.
I was surprised because
Sassicaia was table wine for the longest time because they wouldn't go by the rules.
Right. So he has, again, back to the labels, like this guy Tomo has issue with the labeling, and he's just not into the rules, basically. That's, that's his jam. He's kind of a rebel.
14.5 ABV on this one, according to the label. They're not
a
as
little
honest
wiggle room
here.
On there. Yeah,
they're not as honest here, so it could be up to 16%. But I don't see the syrupy thing that I did on the other one. It's a little thick, but it's not as thick as the last one. So this is probably in the 15 range. Much more expressive on the palate. More acidity.
Definitely.
Very different from this wine.
Yep.
This tastes 10 years older than this one.
Yeah, I would agree.
It really does.
It definitely is more mellow. Little silkier mouthfeel on that.
More
that
darker flavors, more cooked fruit.
Yeah.
This is more fresh fruit. This is like a black cherry or an overripe Bing cherry or something like that. Whereas this is like in the prune family, or cooked cherry. Yeah, this is good. Now this I would not do with turkey. This is a steak. Or blood sausage. If you're, do they do that in Spain?
They do.
Okay, I know they do it in Argentina, but I don't know.
Yep.
So like a blood sausage.
Had a few blood sausage.
Great,
yeah, it was delicious.
For this.
Don't let the name scare you. Go for it.
Yeah, no. And then as you get further west, west?
Sure.
Yeah, west. I think west.
We're upside down on that.
Yeah, we're upside down. I think it's west. Anyway, as you get further west into Toro, then you're getting more intense flavors.
Yeah,
I think it's higher elevation too,
yes,
right?
It is.
Higher elevation, so you're getting more acidity, more diurnal shift, long growing season.
Yeah. Yep.
The wines get more and more intense as you go up that way, away from Rioja, past Ribera del Duero, and into. And by the way, in Ribera del Duero, this is called Tinto Fino.
Tinto Fino, yeah. Okay?
And then in Toro, it's called Tinto del Toro.
Right.
But it's still Tempranillo primarily. Yeah. Okay. So keep that in mind. Again, from the last chapter.
That's right. Yeah.
What do you think?
I like it.
You think 94 points? I do.
I do too.
It's
complex. I mean, it's not, it's not any one thing overwhelmingly, which I enjoy. I feel like every sip is a different taste, and obviously as it opens up, and you'll get even more sensations. But yeah.
Now, for those of you that aren't big wine drinkers, little sweetness, a little vanilla now.
All right.
Just a hair. With these point systems, guys, you hear numbers thrown around. I would say if you want to have value, you don't want to go below 90 points, 89 points.
Yeah.
94 points and above is a pretty significant score.
It's solid.
Yeah. I mean, you're doing like good work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like nobody's complaining.
Gold star.
Yeah. Think about it as a test. If you get a 94 on your exam,
yeah,
you should be super freaking
You're feeling
happy
good.
about that. Yeah, I mean, same thing.
You should reward yourself with a glass of this wine.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. If you just passed your bar exam, you might want to go a little bit more crazy.
Yeah.
But if you passed some sort of certification,
solid.
$49, sure.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well,
you deserve it.
$49. I mean, it's a freaking steal, man. Yeah. I mean,
And this one, you could 10 years at least. You could lay this.
Oh yeah, I would totally agree.
This is a 15, so it's already 8 years old. You could probably go 15 to 20 on this.
Yeah.
This wine is a lot more juicy.
Definitely juicy. That is a great adjective. Yeah, I feel it in my sides of my.
This is like if it's hot, this might be a little too much for you.
I would think so, yeah.
But this, unless it's like 100, but if it's like in the 70s,
like today,
mid-70s to mid-80s,
it's a beautiful.
This one is perfect.
Tempranillo day,
barbecue day.
This
is good stuff. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I like this wine. I would